Hi, my name is Lindsay Natko, and I will be a graduating senior this May. This past summer of June, July, and August of 2012, I studied abroad in Cuernavaca, Mexico for 3 months. The program that I specifically went with was the VC faculty-led program. I went with a group of about 8 other students and actually one professor here from VCU. We went over there to study the Spanish culture and Spanish language mainly. Basically, all of our weekends were planned out with excursions. We went to the Museum of Frida Kahlo, who is a very famous Mexican artist. We also went to the Museum of Diego Rivera, who was her husband. My favorite excursion in particular was going to the Teotihuacan pyramids. It's basically just these pyramids that are kind of mysterious and they don't really know who settled there, but basically they were developed before the Aztecs even arrived. So they're just these 3 different pyramids that you were able to actually climb up to the top. I believe the largest pyramid that we climbed had over 250 stairs that you could climb up to the top. One of the most important holidays for the Mexican culture is Dia de los Muertos. That can be kind of compared to Halloween here in the United States, but actually Dia de los Muertos is the Day of the Dead, and it's celebrated kind of just as a celebration to those who have died. It's usually celebrated in Mexico, but it is also celebrated in other Spanish-speaking cultures as well. But usually family members and friends just gather, usually at a cemetery, and bring presents and cook food, and it's just a big celebration to remember those who have died. One thing that I did find extremely surprising before I did go and study abroad is the American dollar goes really far in Mexico. When you do when you translate our American dollars into pesos, basically 1 American dollar equals 12 pesos. So when you go, usually you can exchange your money at an airport, and they also have kind of set up, it'll tell you how much pesos they'll get for your dollar. So some places may give you 13 pesos for a dollar, whereas some may only give you 11. So you really just need to shop around for where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. But usually it's about 12 pesos per dollar. Just kind of to put it in perspective, when I was over in Mexico, you could probably buy a Coke, because Coke's really big in Mexico, you could probably buy a Coke for about 5 pesos. So that's really, really cheap. You could buy shirts over there for probably somewhere around like 60 pesos. But so when you're shopping, you're like, $60, that's a lot for a t-shirt. But when you actually do the conversion, it's really only like $5 or $6. The American dollar goes really, really far. Well, one thing that was really great that we were able to experience is we actually stayed with host families. So we kind of just jumped into their everyday lives. They didn't really change anything for us to be there. We did join in on breakfast, lunch, and dinner with the family, and they did just cook traditional Mexican food. Surprisingly, it is very similar to what they do cook over in they do cook here in the United States. taxis are extremely common in Mexico. How taxis work in Mexico is they actually are not a running meter. So when you call a taxi and you tell them exactly where you want to go, they'll be able to give you a set price right then and there. So unlike the United States, it's not kind of a big surprise when you get to your destination and they, tell you a price. So you know right up front what your price is going to be. And also something to keep in mind is you do not tip your taxi driver in Mexico. They do get some of the share of whatever the rate they told you. But actually, tipping in Mexico for taxi drivers, for some reason take that as offensive. So you actually do not have to tip the taxi driver. But like I said, taxis are the most common way for Mexicans to get around. Did only go to one university, and that was Universidad Internacional, and that was just a university there that VCU actually has a partnership with. So that's how we were just able to pay our tuition directly towards VCU. For Mexico, it was extremely cheap. My flight was only $500 round trip. So you really can fly to like California for that much money, or even Chicago. So the flight really was extremely cheap. And also, the program cost was, I believe, only $1,800 or roughly around there. And that included your housing for 3 months and your food. So basically the only thing that we had to pay for out of pocket when we did get over there was just any type of souvenirs we wanted, any additional food that we wanted that the family did not provide for us. And so with the program cost, like I said, it just included the food and housing. We did have to pay for our tuition, but we just paid as if we were going to VCU. So just studying abroad in general, I would say, I would recommend, even if it's not through VCU faculty led, and it's just maybe possibly by yourself, it's always a great experience to get out of the United States and really submerge yourself in their culture and just gain a different aspect on living in the United States. And I definitely encourage everybody to study abroad. It's a great experience.